If you honored me with your presence by going to Cambodia with me this year, would you stand? I think you've had a full week to recover. Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for sharing that experience with me. I was preparing my talk this week, and you know, when you're going through that, sometimes I know what I do is I go, ooh, they're going to love that. Oh, they're going to love that one. And I had none of that. It was just all simple. And I met with Baji this morning, as is tradition, with whoever is practitioner for the day. And we were speaking, and I asked her, what would you like to invoke in terms of a quality of being or an energy for the services today? And she looked at me and she says, I can't seem to articulate it. And I said, you know, I'm kind of there too. And I said, but the word that comes up is simple, just simple. And she said, yes, but powerful. And I said, yes, the two are not synonymous. Just because something is simple does not mean that it doesn't have a potency or it doesn't have an oomph to it in regards to its ability to transform. And she said, yes, I like that. And I said, well, why don't we just combine the two, power and simple, and we'll just create a pimple today. So today's all about a spiritual pimple. And we're going to pop that sucker. All right. So here we go. You know, when you bare bones down, I love the idea of bare bonesing down. When I teach my practitioners, I teach them about smoke screens and how when people come to them for particular issues, that there's usually a smoke screen there, that behind whatever it is that they're verbalizing, there's really sort of a base discontent. And it's a base discontent that the majority of us share. And we look at our lives and we look at that which is equated to discord, and we look and ask, what is that brings us pain and brings us suffering? What is it? Is it something external? Is it what people did? Is it what a company did? Is it what my family has done? What is the genesis or the primordial seed behind my discontent, my pain, my suffering? Because all of us are on a quest for fulfillment. What I have come to understand and believe, and a word that we use often because our founder Ernest Holmes used it a lot, is propulsion. That inside of us there is this energy, this propulsion that is pulling us towards a greater embodiment of the truth of who we are. In fact, it won't let you rest. It is that incessant voice that's calling you to be what you came here to be. To wake up to the fact that every single moment is a moment of power, a point of power. And so that propulsion is there, and that is merged with this quest for fulfillment, and it seems like what continues to get into the way are all these things that bring us pain and suffering. And we're looking for a solution. All of us are reading and studying and doing whatever it is, attending whatever we need to attend, in order to find that thing that's going to be the end-all, be-all, right? And so what happens is we transfer that solution to an individual or an organization or a methodology or a class or a retreat, and we put all of that responsibility onto that external thing, in hopes that it's going to be the thing, it's going to be the ticket that's going to wipe away all of our pain and all of our struggle. And so we'll go to that, and sometimes, if you're like me, we'll get a quick little fix, and then we'll go back and we'll get into our routine, and we will find ourselves right smack dab in the middle of that pain again. And so what does that tell us? It tells us that the solution isn't out there, that we are walking and breathing that solution constantly. And our job then is to wake up to that. I have a mentor and an advisor that I go to, and I was meeting with him yesterday, and we were talking about this, and he said, isn't it fascinating that you could take what we call a thug, somebody off of the street, somebody who has challenges with drugs and theft and whatnot, and let's say they're a teen, and you could put that teen into a loving home with two loving guardians. You could put a roof over their head. You could give them wholesome food to eat. You could give them as consistent positive feedback as possible. And we would cross our fingers and hope that that environment would transform that individual. And sometimes that's the case, but guess what? Not all the time. And when you start to look at that, you go, well, but they were given this. Why didn't things stick? Why didn't things change? And so you start to see then that the power is not in the environment. The power is in the attitude of the individual. And today is all about the attitude of mind, and you can't go anywhere without your mind. You can't engage, well, some people I've seen. But you can't engage, you can't have a relational energy with the world without having the cognizance, the mindset, the life force within you. It's just a part of who you are. And so that tells us that wherever you go, whatever environment you're in, whatever situation you're in, whatever circumstance is right in front of you and you're in the midst of it, whatever that storm is, whatever that discord is, you are not separate from the solution, the simple solution of what we understand peace to be. And so when we begin to see that, we understand that our fundamental work then lies in our perception of things. God, do you get that there's not a single day that you are not called upon to cleanse your perception? To look at, why is this bothering me? Why is this upsetting me? Why do I feel distance? Why do I want to go into energetic withhold? You know, they didn't treat me this way, or they didn't say what I needed them to say, so I'm going to pull back. I'm going to hold back. And we start to see that all of that stems from our perception of the situation, our perception of the people. And again, that's our point of power. So your greatest thing, your greatest gift is what we call a moment. And it is in that moment where you and I have the catalyst for change. So whether it's an exchange with a salesperson, whether it's a conversation with someone in your family, a client, whatever it might be, every single moment is significant. And every single person that you come in contact with is significant, because all of it then is one big practice ground for you and I to wake up and to own the fact that we are never separate from that which is peace, that which is love, that which is harmony. So doesn't it make sense then that our souls come into this experience and we walk into this seeming chaos only that we can see through the veil of that chaos and understand what the true reality is? So you can look at all those veils and they say, veil, you have no power over me. And I'm not talking about Vail, Colorado. Veil, illusion, you have no power other than the power that I give you. And so everything becomes about perception, how I look at things. And as I was speaking with my friend yesterday, he said, isn't it amazing that we go in this circular motion of our perceptions? And if we don't quite fully get it on one go-around, then we just stay in that groove. We stay in that track. It's like a track, you know, you're just running. It's a track of perception, and you just stay there until the aha happens, and then you continue to advance up. But everything, every moment, every day is about perception. So when I tell you, when we speak about the fact that it's all God, what does that really mean? It means that every single moment then is an ability or a chance for you to prove that, for me to prove that. I came across this wonderful little bit from Ernest Holmes that it made me laugh. Like Baji, I lost my place. Here it is. But he wrote this. He said, life goes on. But we are making the most of this thing called life. Or are we making the most of this thing called life? He says, we can imagine a fish being told that is surrounded by water, but not quite realizing what this means. So imagine you're talking to a fish and you go, there's this thing called water. It's amazing. And the fish doesn't realize that it's actually in the thing that's being talked about. I can tell you that God is all that there is, and how amazing it is when we wake up to that, and how each moment is precious. But you may then do what? He says, so we can imagine the fish in all of its amazement swimming north, south, east, and west in search of water. So you and I go to workshops in Tibet and Cambodia and Burger King. I mean, we just go everywhere, in search of that thing that's going to be God. He says if we think of this fish as a person, we can even imagine him looking up the books of fish lore, studying fish psychology and philosophy, always endeavoring to discover just where the waters of life are and how to approach them. Perhaps some wise old fish might say, it has come down to us through tradition that in ancient times our ancestors knew about this wonderful ocean of life. That's me standing up every Sunday and telling you about the wonderful traditions of science of mind and metaphysics, and the power is within you. And he said, they prophesied a day when all shall live in the waters of life happily ever after. And can't we imagine all the other fish just getting together and rolling their eyes and wiggling their tails, looking wise and mysterious, and beginning to chant, oh, water, 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 we beseech you to reveal yourself to us. We beseech you to flow around and through us, even as you did in the days of our revered ancestors. And we're just like those fishes. And it's simple. Don't you get that the pain and the suffering that we go through so regularly is attached to our misperceptions and to the fact that we are blind to the power of the moment? It's that simple. And so we look at what we do. What are our best practices? How do we go about implementing this? And sometimes our message, this is just my opinion, but I believe that the message gets very convoluted in the ask and you shall receive, and if you didn't receive it, you didn't have enough faith, and you need to practice more. And it sets up almost sort of a futility within us, because we feel like we're not doing it right. Because what do? We compare ourselves to everybody else. Well, they're getting their prayers answered. And let me tell you, we all got stuff. And we're all looking at one another, and we're all thinking that their ride or their deal or their life or their situation is far more together than my own. And we all got stuff. And so what if it's not so much about you don't have enough faith? Because I think that's like spiritual malpractice. But what if it's simply about the fact that we all, in our own way, are being given an invitation to practice? That's all that it is. It's a muscle, just like everybody. Everybody has a muscle, right? So you have a spiritual muscle, and the muscle is your mind. And you and I have to practice that mind. We have to be able to practice in that moment the thing that is so aggravating, the thing that is so fearful, the thing that seems so overwhelming. That's the moment. That's the moment I believe that our soul has actually called forth, because the true nature of us, that inner propulsion, isn't going to sit still. It's going to put us into those situations in order for us to transcend the situation. It's not going to do it for us. Life is this beautiful canvas by which you and I get to practice. And so our transformation, our relief from that pain and that struggle is all about those moments. And all about understanding that in anything that I walk into, whatever that might be, that's an opportunity. Even now, it's an opportunity. I read that the best way for us to get into the habit of thinking consciously is about understanding a little bit about the brain. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. I got excited. Hallelujah! Okay. So So when the brain goes on autopilot, and I think that that's what happens, right? Our brain just goes on autopilot. Have you ever gotten into the car, you drove somewhere, you get to where you're going, and you go, I have no idea how I just got here. Sometimes we go through a whole day like that. Some of you are going on a decade like that. Okay? So in that autopilot mode, what they say sometimes is that the brain goes in what's called confirmation bias. And confirmation bias means that the brain just goes to the place that it's used to. And so in that confirmation bias, if you have a view of the world and your position in the world as one of struggle and pain, lack and limitation, why does this keep happening to me, kind of mentality, then the brain is automatically going to go there if you are on autopilot. That's just it. So how do we transcend that? How do we break through that confirmation bias energy? Pay attention. That's it. It's very simple. You're just asked to pay attention to the way that you're feeling. You're just asked to pay attention by how I want to make you responsible for what's going on for me. And we all do it. I do it. I want my board to act a certain way. I want the staff to act a certain way. I want Ty to act a certain way. I want my relatives to act a certain way. I want my practitioners to act a certain way. And the mistake is that when I feel that my well-being is diminished because they're not doing what I want them to do, then it's my perception. And don't you get that all of us are here to learn that? Imagine what true freedom is, and true freedom from the struggle and pain is owning your perception. And when you own it, it's like you take your power back. You take your authenticity back. And you begin to fine-tune the way in which you view the world. And so it's not about what anybody else is doing. It's about our perception of what people are doing. And I love the analogy of the radio frequency. It's like if you're on a particular radio station, and then you're on another one, you change the dial, and you're on another one, you're on another one. No radio station is better than the other. They're all just operating at different frequencies. And if you don't like a frequency, if you don't resonate to a particular frequency, what do you get to do? Change the dial. That's it. But see, here's the thing. This is what I feel downfall is a big word, but this is what I feel gets in the way and what trips us up. Is that we want to leave the discord, we want to leave the pain, and as we're leaving it, we're still holding them responsible. That's like packing up and moving to a different city, thinking that the city is going to be the thing that's going to bring you happiness, when it had nothing to do with the city. It's like moving out of a relationship, and you've seen me do this many times with this kind of energy. You automatically go into the next relationship with this kind of energy. You leave a specific religion fleeing for your life. And you go into the next philosophy or the next religion, but guess what? You bring with you the remnants of discord and happiness and holding them responsible. So it doesn't matter where you go, you're still going to be looking through that perception or that lens. And so everything is a cleansing. That's why every single encounter matters. Every single individual matters. It has nothing to do with personality, and it has everything to do with practice. So can you imagine any wise sage, any teacher, someone like the master teacher Jesus or Buddha or any of these ascended masters looking at people and going, oh, I'm so sick of them. They just do not give enough. I'm going to go preach on this mountain over here. None of that, hear me, none of that registers. See, I think True, I love the word transfiguration. Transfiguration is to take something and to enhance it and to make it more beautiful. True transfiguration is when you can look at all of those things and you can move on, but you can move on cleanly. So to move on cleanly means that you bless the entirety of your journey. And that level of attitude of mind then brings us to where we understand truly what moment means, the preciousness of the moment, the power of the moment. There is no moment then that we wish would go away. There is no moment then that we wish didn't happen because we see the sacredness in all of it. I call it the grass is greener consciousness. You know, that grass is greener consciousness says, I'll be happy when this happens. You know, if I'm a brown belt in Taekwondo, I'll be happy when I get the black belt. I'll be happy when the kids are out of the house. I'll be happy when this relationship is over. I'll be happy when this ends, rather than understanding where's happiness. Just like where's peace? I keep going to the candle. Where's peace? Where's happiness? It's here. That's why they say the whole idea of looking for love. Why are you looking for love when love is all that there is? Instead, look for all of the barriers that you and I have built to resist and be in the way of love. And so that goes with anything that is synonymous with our understanding of God. Whether it be peace, whether it be love, whether it be prosperity, whether it be wholeness. How can you and I say then that God is all that there is and then go on a quest to find it? Like the fish trying to find the water. It's already here. And the only way that I know that works for me to be able to remind myself of that is in the moment. And go, God's here. I know God's here. I know peace. I know prosperity's here. I know it's here. It's here. Come on now. But that's where the work comes in. I know that I'll be happy once I get out of debt. I know that I'll be happy when I find a publisher. I know that I'll be happy when I lose 20 pounds. I know that I'll be happy when. Everything is futurized. And so we're missing the point. So the simplicity then and the understanding is that the life principle is always in existence. So I found this also from Ernest Holmes. It said, the life principle always exists and will always continue to exist. What's the life principle? That which is God. Everything. It always exists, always has, always will be. You are a part of its self-expression. Therefore, the desire of life is to give you more life. Think about that. What's another word that you could choose for life? World. So the world wants to give you more world. Love wants to give you more love. That's just the way it's built. That's just the way life and its perpetuating energy goes. He says, and since it is all life, it has all life to give you. Do you hear that? There's no cap, there's no ceiling, there's no limitation. It has as much of what it is that you say that you want, that you're willing to take. It loves you because in creating you, it has given some part of itself to you. You are dear to life, beloved by it. In creating you, it has poured itself into you. You could not ask for greater love than this, and more love could not be given. So what that says is life loves you. Life loves you, as well as her GPS system over there. Life loves you. So the power is in the moment. The beauty is in the moment. The transfiguration is in the moment. So the question then becomes, is that what you want? Do you want to be in practice? Do you want to treat each day and pay attention to each day and each moment, realizing that nothing outside of you can get into the way except for your own willingness to allow it? So as you breathe in with me this morning, all those moments that we're talking about, this is one of them. You think about how uncomfortable the chair is or whatever it is that might be going on, but it's a moment. And in this moment, there is breath. And in this moment, there are clothes on our back and shoes on our feet. In this moment, we have access to food and to shelter. In this moment, we live in a land that has basic freedoms. In this moment is pure potentiality. In this moment, there is this seed of willingness that says, hey, if you will partner with me, if you will stay faithful to me, and that faithfulness is about understanding that life loves you, if you will allow that love, then I will finally have permission to come in and to help bring to you all of that which you so richly deserve. It isn't about earning it. It isn't about being a good boy or a good girl. It isn't about the past. It isn't about even how hard you work. It's just if you're simply willing to let go of the withhold, to let go of the grudges, to let go of the allegiance to pain, to let go of blaming other people, of letting go of the fact that the world is hard, of letting go of all of that. If you could just center yourself in a willingness to receive love, then we can do something. Then we can move forward. Then we can begin to open up and reveal that which already exists. And so there is that voice inside of us that asks us this and invites us to this experience every single day. And so today, we say, why not? Why not? Why not let go of my story? Why not let go of all of my entitlement? Why not clean my perceptions so that I can once and for all be able to see a world that does work and take advantage of that? And so this is my prayer of knowing that that is exactly what is happening in this moment within each and every person. This is that moment, that point of power. And I affirm and know that as we leave here today, that these words, they don't just hang in this room and stick to this wall. They actually stick to your consciousness. They actually provoke you enough to want to do something different. And so we just breathe this in. And we stop trying so hard. What if this is the year that we stop trying and we just allow? Just be. Just claim all that is already there. And I can feel that this is an agreement of our soul. And so what I know and what I speak today, because I love the power and the vibration of the word, when that word is rooted in truth and rooted in willingness. And I take the power of this word right now as our collective prayer, and I simply release that prayer. And I watch as it boomerangs out, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. which is to activate that law that brings whatever we are focused on, whatever we are loyal to, right back to us. And so in this moment, there is healing. In this moment, there is renewal. In this moment, there is letting go. In this moment, there is genuine happiness that is finally being able to see the light of day in our lives. And in celebration and in honor of the way in which law responds to us and works for us, as us, and through us, we simply breathe in a collective breath of thanks. And together we say, and so it is.